Okay, so the next step in scheduling a conference room, once I've created a new meeting item, is actually picking the conference room. And there are several ways to do that. The first way is to use the scheduling assistant. Another way is to use the room finder. And finally, you can also add the names of the conference rooms manually by hand. And you can either try to type the full name of the conference room or just a partial name. And I'll go over both of those methods as well. Okay, so if I go back to my meeting request, I'm going to change the time here just so it's not happening at midnight, just for the heck of it. And I'm going to click on the Scheduling Assistant button here on the toolbar. After conference groups, the Scheduling Assistant is probably the second easiest way to schedule a conference room. So I'm going to add a conference room by clicking on this little icon here, which is the address book. And once I have the address book open, I can actually filter the address book down to just conference rooms by selecting the All Rooms group. These are all of the conference rooms in both Tualatin and Wilsonville. Say I want to have the meeting in the IT room. I select that room here, and now I want to click on the Resources button, not the Required or Optional, because conference rooms are considered resources by Outlook and the Exchange server. So I'll click Resources and then click OK. And then it asks me if I want to update the location, and I will say yes to that. And what that's referring to is the location back here on the appointment. It just updated this line. Another way to select the conference room is to use the room finder, which is over here on the right of Outlook. And if I click on the Show a Room List drop down, I can see these different groupings of conference rooms. One of them is the Tualatin meeting rooms, so I'll select that one. And it's going to load all of the conference rooms in Tualatin automatically. You'll notice that none of them are selected, and it's going to take a minute to show the availability of those rooms. If I expand this over a little bit, I can see the descriptions a little bit better for which rooms are in Tualatin. So you also notice that if I click on the suggested times down here, the list of rooms actually gets smaller, because from 9 to 9:30, 3 of the rooms are already reserved. If I pick a room, I select Columbia, it'll automatically select it up here, and that will be the room for my meeting. You can see my location has been updated to the boardroom or Columbia, and now I can schedule that meeting. Now if I want to delete a bunch of these conference rooms, even though they're not selected, I just don't want them on my meeting request. It's kind of hard to get to them sometimes if your cursor gets stuck in another cell. You have to do like Shift Tab or Tab to get out of there, and then select. You're sort of selecting the row and not necessarily the cell. And at that point, you can click Delete and delete all of those. So if I want to add a conference room by hand, if I know the name of the conference room, I can type it in. So Umpqua, and it'll come up as a resource and it'll be selected automatically. If I'm not quite sure which conference room I want, if I type just some part of the name like CONF, let's say, I get the red squiggly lines, which means that Outlook wasn't able to uniquely identify that name. But if I right click on it, I'll get a list of conference rooms, and I can select from that list. And then I'll also want to change the type of attendee. So right now this is a required attendee. I want to change this to resource because I want it to automatically reply to my meeting request. And you'll notice that the location is the IT room again. So if I just delete that, and let's try another one. see the location now is nowhere. If I change this to a resource, go back to the appointment tab, and now it's updated the location.